Welcome everybody to week 7 of group coaching. So this is our last week. It's a little bit funny because we have a week 0. So this is really our 8th week of meeting. So hopefully you went through the Thinkific course and you completed all the stuff about recruiting. Did that make anybody a little sweaty, or did we all survive through that? There's some smiles. Some are looking like beadlets of sweat are forming just as I talk about it. Okay, so we'll talk about last week's challenge, and we'll take time to do wins. And then what I want to accomplish today is we're going to talk briefly about recruiting and some tips for you as you're having those conversations with people, a couple extra things. I want to teach you how to break down the numbers for a new person. And then I've got just a couple other minor things up my sleeve, like, are you ready to graduate and stuff like that, making sure you're ready to go. And then you guys you're free birds. You're launched skilled advisors, skilled salespeople who know how to care for people well. Oh, I'm so excited. All right. So the last week's challenge was to put pen to paper on your customer care plan or type it out. And a lot of you, really liked reading through what you guys put out there. Again, take the time to look at what other people put. I think there's some really great nuggets. And I didn't write the list. I will go back and make sure I have an accurate list. Sorry, I don't have the list written out because I think, Krista, you just posted yours. So my list is a little behind from this afternoon. Just something we talk about this on and off throughout this course. But I want you to feel really confident in making your customer care plan what works for you and not worry if it doesn't match somebody else's. There are seasons of my life when I've worked 40 plus hours of doTERRA. Like, my customer care plan looks different than yours might be if you're like, I've got 5 hours maybe a week and I'm really pushing it and I'm hustling. So just know that it will look unique to where you're at. And the biggest thing, I feel bad that I can't remember who posted this. It might have been you, Meredith. It might have been you, Krista. Somebody posted about how this is what I can do right now in this season of life. And that's what you do have to decide, because if it's not something you can do, then you won't be consistent with it and you'll feel bad about it. And the whole point about this is to make you feel better and your customers feel better. So do what you need to do. That's my biggest thing on the customer care plan. Don't compare yours to other people. But if there's tips you can get, go ahead and get them. All right, let's go ahead and unmute ourselves, and let's take a couple minutes to share some wins. How's that sound? Besides surviving the snowstorm of the century. What's still going on? Go ahead, Krista.
Unless you want to talk.
Nope, you.
Good. Okay. I'd say a win that I could think of from the BOGO week was a good chance to kind of just reconnect with customers again. And it was really fun, actually. A lot of people, maybe we lost touch over the holiday season, and getting back in the swing of the new year, is they were reaching out to me with questions, and we got to connect, and it was a good thing, and they're like, I'm going to order this, I'm going to order that, and then asking things for the future too. So that was a big win with the BOGO week. And then another big win is I finally got around to doing a live video for the BOGO group. So it was a big win for me. It was one of those days, every time I try to get on, it just didn't work, and then kept pushing through, and I finally got on there. So those are a couple wins.
I love it. Thank you for sharing, Krista. Yeah, when I think of BOGO week, I think of a lot of things, but I would encourage, it's the greatest connection point. It is the greatest connection point. And I had people that didn't respond to what I sent out, announcing BOGO week, individually to them in a more personal way. And I now have an opportunity to go back to them and say, hey, I don't want to be annoying. Do you want to hear from me or not? And if it's a no, it's okay. I have an outline for it. But the opportunities for connection and affirming where they are or finding out where they are infinite. So thank you, Krista, for sharing that. Good. Okay, let's hear some other wins. Emily, the outline is being posted to Fierce Leaders at 8:30 per my scheduling, because I knew if I posted it at 2:30 when I was working on nap time, ain't nobody going to see that. So give it a couple minutes. The outlines are going up. If anybody else wants them, I can post them somewhere else too. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut anybody off. Wins. I know, Julie Hammond, you posted a win, but now your video is off. I think you posted a great win in the group about your presentation. I might not be able to get her right now. Oh, there she is.
Sorry. My husband's just sitting here in the background, so.
It's okay. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, so it was, it's so scary to present to a bunch of people, right? Especially people who aren't there for an essential oil class. So I presented the business. They're all business people, so I presented, here's how you get paid in doTERRA. And I had one gal who wants to enroll. I'm making her wait till next month. Only because March Madness was on the calendar. There's some enrollment thing happening. So, and then I got a lot of BOGO orders, so it was good.
Thank you
for celebrating with me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think that teaching the business opportunity to a group of people may or may not, for some of us, we might go either way. It might be harder than teaching about the top 10 oils. So hats off to you. Teach the 5 areas of the compensation plan. Now I'm feeling sweaty. Good. Let's for sure do one more. San, you want to share your win?
Okay. Let's see, during BOGO week, I did something scary and went live on my personal page on, I don't know, the Motivate Cheer Day. And just because I thought it's a lower price point, they're rollers, they're ready to go. Like, people don't have to dilute them and make something with them. Like, they're just ready. And so I had a friend, like one of my best friends that I met probably 5 years ago, like, reached out. She just texted me and she's like, I want your BOGO today. And I was like, what? And so I said, okay, is there anything else you need? Did you have any other questions? And she's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, perfect. So, there's some different routes we can go, but I think we need to start with LLV and this other thing, right? So I sent her the link generator. So both of my wins were with the link generator during BOGO week. Mm-hmm. And I woke up the next morning and she was enrolled. She didn't need an enrollment kit, but I used the $35 enrollment fee. And same with another gal who needed help figuring out what to start with. She had no idea, didn't really even know what her goals were. So I just had to pick something. I started with the kids kit and added the $35 enrollment fee and sent her a link generator, and she did it. I mean, that's like the easiest way. Like, if somebody doesn't know what they want or what they need or where to begin, start with that and say you can delete things off of it. If you don't want it, just like delete it. So it worked.
Way to be bold, Sonia, right? Stepping outside of our comfort zone. And I like have said this too many times. The link generator is changing my life. I feel like it was like one of those things we'll be like, how did we survive without the link generator? So, oh, I love it. Okay, good. I don't want to cut anybody else off. So anybody else have something they want to share for wins? I know there've been some great ones. Hopefully you guys can't hear my background as well as I can. Okay, we'll keep rolling here. Thank you for sharing your wins. Okay, let's start with some recruiting stuff first, because that was the topic for this week. So, like, why is recruiting important? Why is this hard? We talked about some of those things in the videos, but I just want to reiterate with some math, with some statistics that, remember, 1 out of every 8 people that you ask to join you in partnering, in the business side of doTERRA will actually do it. Like, Julie Hammond asked a room of how many people were in your room, Julie? She can put it in the chat. But like, you have to ask more people than you would maybe necessarily ask for, like, hey, do you want a kid? My mom says 10,000 in the room. There might have been, I don't know. Maybe it was live streamed, it was global event, 30, right? So, and she had fruit from that. But but this statistic only applies if you ask. If you forget to ask, that does not apply at all to your business. So you ask 8 times to get 1 person. And again, if you're thinking about rank and goals and income, this is really important to consider. And again, none of us are perfect at this. Okay. So this is a learned skill you have to work on and practice and get more confident at, just like everybody else and just like all the other skills that we've worked on. So, my advice to you is just to keep planting seeds, keep loving on your customers. A lot of builders come from customers, and that's okay, but it's still important to ask and be proactive and not just wait solely on your customers to fall in love with oils and be interested in the opportunity as well. So if you're like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to create an income that can maybe replace or supplement my income, then like you're going to need to be asking people if they want to come with you, and get ready to do that without being able to look somebody in the eye. Okay. Em said something here. Yeah, one of my lead builders said she wanted in on the business before she even got her oil. So that does happen too. Celebrate that. Relish in it. I love it. Okay. Let's talk really quick about price contexting. So there was a section in the recruiting, oh my goodness, they want to know more conversation that talked about like supplies that they need to have and investments they need to have. So we therefore need to talk about the 100 PV loyalty rewards order. So if you're looking at a brand new person who just had got their kit follow-up appointment, and they're like, okay, now you have to have this conversation with them about setting that up, that's you cannot get a commission without it, right? And really, when I go over supplies that they need to have, like this is like really the only like thing that I have to talk about. I understand it's not a supply, but so does anybody feel like explaining this is maybe a little bit tricky? Maybe not. Some are like, maybe a little. Heidi doesn't necessarily think so. Heidi always thinks the opposite of what I think, which is okay. That's why I love her. I don't mean that unkindly at all. So I've got recordings of it. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. So depending on when they said yes to the business opportunity conversation, they might be wondering, what the heck is LRP? They might be like 100 PV. I just ordered a kit. I don't understand. Right. So I think it's really important. Everybody on this call knows like if I were able actually like to push you on it, you'd be like, oh yeah, remember I get 30% back. I save on everything that I was already ordering, like all the things. We know all the things. Like if you're going to make a business that could make you money, like you're going to have to invest money. Like we know all those things, but how do you present it in a way to them where it's not just like, and your $100 order. So I want to help you. It's called price contexting. And it's just going to help you explain this well and help you feel more confident about explaining it. Anything that you say is a requirement, people tend to get weird about kind of instantly. I don't know what it is, but the requirement could be 5 PV. And I'm sure people would be like, a requirement? That's the worst, right? So people have a weird thing about that. But okay, so this is what I would recommend is I would recommend contexting in light of the fact that I've never been involved with another network marketing company, but from what I understand, the startup costs with a lot of network marketing companies are pretty high. Like an example, I think Isagenix, you spend it's maybe at least 500. Again, don't quote me on but spending at least 500, sometimes 1,500, sometimes 5,000 to get started. And typically a network marketing company will make a kit of what they think you need and send it to you, right? Who here knows somebody who has literally a room in their house dedicated to the supplies that they've been sent from a network marketing company? They've got all the inventory, right? All those things. So we kind of generally understand that. Right, Mary Kay is like that. I'm like, those LuLaRoe ladies, I'm like, my house is too small to even own one piece. I don't get it. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean that unkindly. So to context it, so you could say something like, you could even name specific companies if you're not comfortable, that's fine. But you could say, a lot of companies will require 500 up to even 5,000, and they give you the products they think you need. And the problem with that is you take up a lot of room. In Amy's world. The problem with that is that it takes a while to profit because you're busy trying to sell what they thought that you were going to sell, and they don't know where you live or who you talk to or who your people are. They don't know those things. So it's very hard to just give you a set kit. So with doTERRA, you get to spend $100 a month on whatever you want. Products for yourself, intro kits to sell as cash and carry items, products you were already buying at other stores. And then what this means for you and for your family is that you're able to profit more quickly instead of sitting around with a bunch of product. So do you see how, again, I could probably put up a more specific outline, but I just want you to understand how instead of being like, here's your requirement to earn a commission check versus let's kind of unpack this a little bit and set that up. So does that help anybody kind of understand? That's what price contexting would be. I need an outline to work through. I'll work on an outline. I was just making it up. No, I'm just kidding. So yes, I will work on an outline for you. But that's my advice to you when it comes to the 100 PV LRP, because whether or not my OMG conversation will look different from each one of yours, but every single one of us needs to explain the 100 PV LRP order. Every single one of us does. So I want to make sure we can do that well. Okay, does anybody feel like they would know what to say? Here's the next part I want to work on a little bit. Does anybody feel like they'd know what to say if somebody was like, how do I say this well? If somebody said to you, I want to like make a profit as quickly as possible, could you map out like appointments and what they would need to do to get to having a profit? Because that's what we're going to do. I'd run. Thanks, Mom. She'd probably send them to me. I'm just kidding. She'd say, you should talk to Amy in just a minute. Okay, so what we're going to do is help you feel a little bit more confident with that. And this is another thing that might take a little time, but I also just want to say, I've said this again too, but people in network marketing are so vague. Like, well, if you work hard, you're just going to make money. And I get it because they probably don't know any different. But if we can just come at it from a little bit of a different angle and help people, like the people who are like, I need to make this money. I can't be out 100 PV, months and months in a row. Then let's tell them what it would take realistically for them to get that back. I'm not saying I made my 100 PV back very quickly. I'm saying I'm trying to help people feel it, experience it a little differently. Okay, fair enough? All right, so let me pull up a document here. Okay, just a minute here. I don't know how to work my screen. Okay, so let's say you're working with a new builder and they say, hey, my goal is that I want to profit my first month. Okay, so if somebody looks at you and says, when you're doing all those OMG conversations, that's my goal, then when you're giving next steps, when you're training them, when you're helping them set goals in their first chat, you want to make sure that you can help them do that, don't you think? So let's just say this is a sample for you. Let's say they're going to do 10 appointments in their first month. Okay, that's like 2 a week. And who are the people they're going to talk to? Probably their sister, mom, their best friend, maybe their sister-in-law, etc. They're probably going to use your outline that you've practiced. And if you think you were going to do 10 appointments with that, like those people close in, how many sales would you get out of those 10 appointments? What would you guesstimate? I can't see the chat, so somebody will have to help me if it goes into the chat.
I say 50%.
50. Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd say like 5 to 6, right? If you're going to take, like your mom is going to buy oils from you. I'm just kidding. I bought oils for my mom. Does that count? Okay, I'm just kidding. So let's say 3 of them were home essentials kits, right? So a home essentials kit is 225 PV. So that's in total 675 PV, and you're going to get 20% of that, which is 135. I did have to practice my math before this. I don't know this off the top of my head, okay? And then let's say you're going to get, I'm going to say 2 family essentials. So remember, they're 110 each, so that puts you at 220, and then your 20% of that is $44, right? These are we've gone from PV to dollars. And let's say you do 1 intro kit for like $30, right? They take it and they run. Not run literally, that wasn't very fair. Okay, so if you add those all up, again, thank you for calculators, that's $209 total. And let's just say their investment, right? First month, your investment, you did your 100 PV LRP plus shipping, tax, let's just say 115. Let's say you didn't get it exactly on the dot with 100 PV. So you're going to have that new builder profiting $94. Okay, can you guys see that okay? Hopefully. Make it a little bigger. Okay, so This process is clearly not cookie cutter, but I think it's infinitely more helpful to say to somebody who, hey, I want to profit the first month. Okay, well, you're looking at 2 appointments a week. We're going to practice. This is kind of the hours a week you need to set aside to make that happen. This is the closing that you're looking at, and this is how it's going to break down, right? Does that feel, what are some initial thoughts about that exercise? Do you guys think that would be helpful to be able to break that down with a new person? If you were that new person, would you find it helpful to know what some specifics of what you could be doing? Can you go back to your screen? Yes, I can. Oh, the wrong button.
I think it's really great to help create like reasonable expectations with people, because what I've seen happen is people are like, I want to make money. Like, I think some people feel like, okay, this is like a get rich quick scheme. No, it's not. It's a job. And so like, okay, if you want to make money, this is what it looks like. I think it's like really good to set those expectations so that they know how to achieve it. And it's beautiful.
Good. Thanks, Em. Other thoughts on this, on the breakdown? Oh, were you screenshotting it, Wendy? Okay, I'll get out of here. I can put that up in the group. Even like, let's say somebody shares with you in your initial recruiting conversation, my goal is to replace my income or whatever in 3 months or 6 months or whatever. Then maybe you can't do that breakdown on the spot with them, but don't you think you could say to them, next time we meet, I'm going to have a breakdown for you, and I'm going to kind of have mapped out. If you're like, I can't do that on the spot, then heavens, don't do it on the spot. If somebody asks me about an oil for cancer, am I going to answer that in front of a group of 15 people? No, I'm going to go somewhere else in private and like do it, like, work around that, like talk to them a different way. And it's the same thing. Like if somebody asks you a question in the recruiting process where you're like, oh, then take the time to get the answer and then come back to them. Okay. But I think it would be really, really valuable to be able to do this for our people. And I would encourage you to try to do this for your people too. No, it's not an exact science. No, it's not a promise. But it sure is better than saying, work hard and good luck. So,
Amy, can I say something?
uh-huh.
I think there's like, I know I personally have a mental block about this, because if I have a leader that's trying to reach a goal, I can easily break it down and be like, well, that would be two Home Essentials kits and 2 Natural Solutions kits and blah, 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 blah. But in the heat of the moment, in that conversation, my mind just goes blah when I'm talking to somebody who's interested in doing the business. So I feel like that's something I definitely can personally practice and get more comfortable with. But maybe it comes in layers. Maybe the ability to talk with somebody through this comes as you become more confident with the numbers side of it, if you're not a big numbers person.
It does. And if you're not a numbers person, then you probably are going to have to do it off screen and come back to them in a separate conversation, because otherwise it's going to like take years off your life if you're not a numbers person. But I will tell you that, yeah, this will increase if you can find a way to do this on or off screen or whatever. This will increase your confidence when you're recruiting significantly, because you can look at somebody and say, I can tell you how you would make money and what it would look like. And if it's not a good fit for you, it's not a good fit. If somebody's like, I can't do that, then I'm like, you're not going to profit right away. So I hope you're prepared for that. I say that a little differently, but it's the truth, right? All about the truth. Yeah, Wendy says some of us, I think she meant didn't say or did say. I'm not sure. I think she meant didn't say that with our first builders. I've blown this with all of my builders. Guys, let's be honest. Like, it's all a big broken sales assembly line, those poor people on this call. But there's grace for that too, and it does work itself out, and it's okay. But I think it's ideal to be able to have the skills to be more straightforward if you can, right? So I can't go back and fix that. People will still love me and figure it out, and it's okay. So I don't need to have angst over that, I don't think. Just kidding. I'm looking at all of them right now. Okay, well, that was enough of a confession time. All right, so we've talked about recruiting. We've talked about breaking down the numbers, all the things. Now I just want to talk about, are you ready to graduate? You're like, yes, Amy, I'm ready to graduate. It's almost 8:30. But here's what I want you to do. I'm going to throw a link in the chat box. And it's the sales skills assessment quiz that you took on week 0. So what I want you to do, this is actually part of your final challenge. You would think that technically you wouldn't, you're going to graduate and then still have a challenge. So I'm sorry, I can't deal with that. But you could meet with me again on Sunday night, but I don't think you want to. So go to this link right now. We'll wait. I'll play some Jeopardy music. And then I want you to email me your results like you did last time. Forward them to yourself. Otherwise, I get them without a name on them, and I don't know who they belong to. And I put my email in the chat. It's just my name. So go ahead and take a minute to do that. People are staring at me a little bit, but they could just be staring at their screen. When you're done, just give a thumbs up because I can't guess. Okay, I see a couple thumbs up. I'll give it a couple more minutes. Okay, are we good? Somewhat good. I'm going to let people finish up while I keep rolling here a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to ask this question. How did that feel? What are some thoughts after taking that quiz? To feel different than the last time you took it? Maybe a little bit?
My scores were higher. I will say I still put a 0 for referrals because I don't ask. I'll be honest. I mean, I do ask. It's just I'm not as confident in asking, so I ask later when I want to be asking earlier. So now that I have my processes a little more solidified, that's my goal.
I like it. Thanks for being honest. I think, I mean, it's just so true that all of us are just still working on it. Marianne says, I feel more confident moving ahead. Yeah, I can see it. Do you guys feel like you have like a better understanding of the process a little bit, like the big picture? If you're a big picture person, even if you're not, I think it's helpful to kind of understand where you're trying to go. Good. Any other thoughts or takeaways from filling that out? I just want to say that sometimes you'll put like a 2 for a skill, and sometimes 8 weeks later you'll fill it out and you'll put like a 1. or a 0, and then you'll be a 3, and then you'll be a 2.5. Like, it's very realistic. Have grace for yourself in the ebbs and flows of like, okay, I got good at this skill, and then I focused on this other one that was hard for me, and I got a little lax over here. You know, that's like realistic, and that's a very normal part of it. So it's good to kind of keep an eye where your skills are at. Your coach can help with that, your leader, but yeah, just like know that that's sometimes part of the journey. Okay. And the other thing I was going to say, so maybe I'll say this in just a minute. I don't think I'm going to say this yet. I can see my emails rolling in from all of you. So, are you ready to graduate? So my questions for you are, did you finish, right? Were you on the calls? Did you finish the Thinkific? Right, good. Did you move forward on any of your skills? Like any, even one? Is there anybody on here who moved forward on one of their skills? Right? Good. So again, it's like about moving the needle a little bit. You can't do all of those. Like, we walked through all of the skills because that's what was the purpose of this course. But I would have been super surprised if like you walked out as a 3 on all of them, right? You just are moving the needle. It's about little moves and progress. And you've all come really, really far. I hope that you can see that when you take that. Who enrolled more people in the past 8 weeks together than they did in the previous 8 weeks? Did anybody enroll more people in these past 8 weeks? Amy Fisher did. Amy Fisher was an enrolling machine. She was like, Snowstorm, psh, Home Essentials kit. End of the world? Nah, you buy Home Essentials kit. So like, think about that. Who loves their or enjoys their doTERRA business maybe a little bit more? Hopefully somebody does on here after going through this. Okay, good. They're all like, I hate it. Okay, so if you're looking at like the wide set of skills and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, I want to encourage you that if you're going to focus on the ones that give you the most bang for your buck. So that's setting appointments, that's closing, that's asking for referrals. I feel like you guys are probably familiar with this concept, but you need to put your own oxygen mask on first before you get too worried about helping others as far as like coaching and leading others. So if you can get your setting appointments and referrals and closing mask on first, you will be far, far ahead. It doesn't mean you can't coach somebody before that, but you will be far, far ahead in the process of being able to say to somebody, come with me. This is like kind of what we're going to work on. So if you need to hone in, it's okay to hone in. Did anybody notice that there's a week 8 up in the Thinkific course? Some people are nodding their heads. So we are not group coaching through it, but I put up a week about coaching your team. So you've asked somebody to be a part of your team. Now, how do you develop them and coach them? So that's something that's there for you that you might want to refer back to when you're at that point. But hopefully some good nuggets there. I think the biggest thing is this. Do you remember how your brain felt going through these 8 weeks? Like all the different things, and Amy's asking me to do this, or this is hard, or this is easy, this is fun. Like, they're going to go through all those things too. Okay. And so they can't learn everything that you learned in just 8 weeks. Like, it's a process too. So I think that's one of my biggest things for as you're developing your people. Okay. Takeaways, final thoughts from people, anything that you want to add while we're all on the screen one last time in this format? Can you guys hear what's going on here? I hope not. Say no. Okay, good. Praise the Lord. Heidi, did you want to say something?
I do. I just want to thank you, Amy, for doing this and opening it up to everyone. And I mean, just speaking, like, Amy is in my organization, right? I'm like supposed to have all this stuff down. I just want you guys to realize, like, everybody thinks so differently. So I was just telling my husband today, I'm like, it's just brilliant how you can take something and chunk it out into little, like, I'm like, literally, she can cover one topic in less than 3 minutes. Like, that's not me. That is not my strength. I'm like a get it done, sit down and get it done in one sitting type person. I will go on and on and on, but we, like, our brains need those bite-sized chunks. So I just want to thank you for sharing your talents and the way that you just chunk this, like the path, right? The pathfinder and the baby steps. And so thank you, Amy.
Thanks. It's been really fun. It's been so fun to have such a mix of different people and like the different leaders' voices and like somebody posting like, hey, this is how I ask or what this looks like. And I just think there's like in that camaraderie and like learning together, there's like so much goodness. So it's been super fun, I think. I'm smiling at what's going on here, not you guys, but you make me smile too.
Can I
Okay.
say something super quick?
Yeah, go for it, Kristen.
It's been fun for me too, because I remember that very first time back in 2013 sitting at a coffee shop when you were doing, I want to say it was your very first presentation with your mom in Minnesota. Do you remember this, Melissa?
I remember. Yeah, I just
remember
enrolled
seeing
somebody
you.
from that class.
Yeah, seriously. But I remember you were saying how nervous you were. And now I look at you, fast forward these many years later, and I'm like, look at, you're doing it. You did it. And you're a shining star and example. So thank you so much. This has been really good for me personally with the calls with Miranda, and then being able to hear kind of your brain and how you work your business and getting the ideas from everybody else. So it's been really fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Krista. Yes, I remember that very clearly sitting at Jay Arthur's. And I just had somebody enroll on BOGO Week from that class. I was like, when's the last? And she's like, well, I was at your class. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, with the process it's kind of terrifying to let you all into my brain and how it works. Let's be honest. It's kind of a terrifying thing, but there's some nuggets in there. And I think that what you see is like, as the journey of like knocking off a lot of really rough edges and like kind of dealing with the nitty gritty and, the hard places. So you're just coming in there's a long way to go, but you missed a lot of the really hard stuff. So something's happening, right? Thank goodness for that.
Even just with the price contexting tonight, you add so much value. So thank you. That was huge for me it just was fun to hear that and the option to talk about that, which I didn't even know of the word price contexting before that. So thanks. You're the bomb.
You're welcome, Mark. You guys are sweet. This is very sweet. This like turned into like saying all sorts of, I'm like blushing. So anyway, it's okay to just stick to a takeaway. You don't have to, my child's screaming in the background. Okay. Anybody have anything else they want to add? I don't want to cut anybody off.
I just want to say to everyone in the group, just thank you for your courage and for helping other people with their health. So I was talking with someone recently, and I was just kind of putting out there, like, I'm really working on my retention rate again because it has dropped over the last year. And she put it into a perspective that I hadn't thought about. So I just want to share this with you guys. She said it's a win for everyone if you have a high retention rate, because if you're winning, then your customers are winning. If you're winning, then your household is winning. If you're winning, then your team is winning, the kingdom is winning, those in your downline are winning because you have a higher capacity to serve them when you have a higher retention rate, right? Because you have more resources to work with. And you're able to be a better leader, and your customers are winning because they are walking in health and all the benefits of doTERRA. So it's all wins. So I just want to share that with you guys.
Thanks, Heidi. You're already being asked to post it in the group, but I think that's good. See, wins are everywhere. So bountiful. Okay, so as I kind of mentioned, but I wasn't super clear about, your final challenge, if you want your new house and your diamond ring and your trip to Hawaii, like if you want all those things, you have to email me the results to your sales skills assessment. Okay, so that's your final challenge. Don't forget that I said that. So moving forward from here, you can still keep posting in the Facebook group that we're all in right now, but I'm not really going to be watching it as closely. What you're going to want to do is, like, if you're part of my team, you're going to hop over into Fierce Leaders. If you're part of Heidi's team, you're probably going to want to hop over into what she's going on the executive page. You're going to want to plug in and be connecting with your coach and continuing to hash through this stuff. Yeah. Somebody just asked me a question. Hold on. So I had talked a little bit about, so is this happening again? I think that there is a definite possibility. This is how my life is right now. Hold on. If I map it out, I think it puts me right at my due date if we take a week off. And do you think that you would have people, why am I even doing this? Do you have people that would be interested in doing this? Like, are you, because I'm not going to do it if there's nobody to do it with. I'm not going to just sit here by myself. So do you have people that would be interested in doing a launch group? And you might be able to answer that now. You might need to contact me individually, which is fine. Yeah, so I think if I think this is going to happen again, you're either going to hear that from your leader or you're going to hear that within our Facebook group, because that's kind of the best way to get a hold of all of us at large. But there's a chance that I might try and squeeze one more in before baby comes, and I also don't know if we have enough time. So it just depends. But you guys always will have the Thinkific course. You'll always have access to that. And I'll leave the Facebook group up. It probably just is archived. But I have enjoyed this. I hope you've learned. I hope you feel like you've grown. And it's just a journey, and nobody promises that it will be easy, but I can promise you that it's worth it. I can promise you that. So I hope you all have a really great night. I hope you have a great run at your businesses here, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions or whatever. I will put up the price contacting thing. Peace, everybody.